In cricket, Australia is in trouble against England in the third Test match. After winning the toss and batting, the tourists collapsed to be bowled out for just 136. Chris Rogers, the only player to make more than 16. Jimmy Anderson took 6 of the wickets to fall. Cricket writer for The Australian, amongst many other things, Kate McGregor. She's back after watching the first 2 tests and joins us now from Canberra. Hello, Kate.
Good morning, Steve.
Well, the obvious question is, after the thrashing for England at Lord's, what did you make of last night?
Well, I think anyone who pretends other than being a bit astonished at England's turnaround is having you on. Look, I think it was it sounds like a corny cliche, but it was a really good toss to lose. There was some low cloud around, it rained, there was plenty of grass on the wicket. It looked green. It was really beautiful bowling conditions for the England seamers, and they exploited them. Cook said at the toss that he would have batted himself. I rather suspect Michael Clarke would be agonising over this now, thinking he would have loved to have backed up with England still demoralised after Lord's and had a crack at them with his own fast attack. But that opportunity's gone, and so England you've got to give credit where it's due. England, especially Anderson and Broad, are wonderful bowlers on their home decks. And Stephen Finn, returning to Test cricket, bowled beautifully. He took the massive wickets of Smith and Clarke. So England bowls superbly, but the Australian middle to lower order really lacked application under English conditions, you'd have to say.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at some pictures now of some of those shots that were played by the Australian batsmen. You'd have to say, even though the bowling was good, they left a lot to be desired, didn't they?
They looked adrift. Neville shouldered arms to one from Anderson, just completely missed, didn't pick it. And so no shot offered there, and a profligate effort from Mitchell Marsh, who's a dasher, but his match awareness should have dictated that he needed to occupy the crease for a while and get some runs yesterday. So, look, a lot for Australia to ponder out of this. It shows the reliance on Rogers, who is very, very good under English conditions. He's played a lot of first-class cricket, and he gave the template for how Australia needed to bat. He was playing very late, keeping his hands well behind his head, and leaving it to the last moment and playing with a very dead bat and just steering the ball around the park. He showed what could be done, as did Ian Bell. And Australia have got a lot to think about out of this. Any complacency from Lord's would have been obliterated now.
I think that's absolutely right. What about Michael Clarke, though? He's in a bit of a hole at the moment, isn't he, batting-wise?
He is, and I don't want to engage in piling on over the issue of Michael Clarke's captaincy. I think there's been a question mark over him since that injury at Adelaide against India last year, really. This recurring back hamstring combination has always meant that his shelf life's likely to be limited. He doesn't seem to have returned to decent form in the red ball format now for some time. The yield from his recent innings has been low, and it's a question of how much longer that can be sustained. The worrying thing about last night's dismissal, to my mind, was he looked really, he's splay-footed, he almost fell over as he leant towards the ball, and it echoed to me the dismissal of Ricky Ponting right at the death knell of his career when Jacques Carlos made him look terrible in Adelaide back in 2012. And there was an element of that to Michael Clarke's dismissal. All his grace, the nimble footwork seems to have deserted him. And at his age, with his injury history, there's got to be a big question mark over what the road back looks like or whether it's viable at all. Yeah, it does
catch up with everyone, doesn't it? On that note, Kate, do you think the selectors got it right behind the stumps for this match?
Look, I do. A lot of ex-players have come out and been offended at Brad Haddin's omission. How do you change a winning side from Lord's? The young man debuts, equals the Ashes dismissals for a wicketkeeper on debut, bats competently and looks completely at home on the largest stage there is. Haddin's had a dreadful run with the bat, averaging 15 over his last 12 Test matches. He put down Root in Cardiff on 0. Root really played a match-winning innings. The shadows are really lengthening for Brad Haddin, and everyone feels for him for his family circumstances, but the idea that anyone has a sinecure on a spot I think's a folly, and it's commendable that the former players and colleagues rally to him. But I think the selectors jumped the right way, and I think they need to persevere with Marsh as well. I think the Watson, Haddon and possibly even Clark eras are drawing to a close. The bigger issue is who's going to replace Rogers, who, of the ageing players, is actually playing very well.
Yes, a changing of the guard coming up, and that's exactly right. Chris Rogers, the man who knows how to play in English conditions, is the one holding things together. Kate, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Nice
I'd like to say I hope better things await for Australian viewers tonight. I don't really, though. Anyway, let's hope it's a good night of cricket. Thanks again, Kate.
Indeed, thanks.
Kate McGregor there joining us, discussing the Ashes, which at the moment looking very good for England. You wonder, though, maybe, you know, for many years it used to be, as an Englishman, can the weather save us? Is there a way out of this? Can the heavens open? Maybe that's what Australia needs.
That's very funny.